Welcome to the Recovering Preacher's Kids, a space for healing, honesty, and leaving a legacy of faith without perfection. We're your hosts, Lisa and Lori, and we're so glad you're here.
Have you ever seen it's an old movie, but it's, like, I say an old movie, I think it was from the early 2000s. So, I mean, I guess technically that's old now. But have
Oh.
you ever seen the movie called An Unfinished Life?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Have not heard of it.
So, well, it's got Robert Redford, Morgan Freeman, Jennifer Lopez, Josh Lucas, and some other people. Those are the ones that stick out in my head. So but it's a really good movie. We watched it recently. I had never seen it. It's one of those things that just kind of like popped up on, I don't even know we watched it on for me to even tell you to go check it out. But anyway, it popped up on whatever platform we were watching. And the whole premise of the movie is, I don't wanna ruin it in case you wanna go watch it, but the whole premise of the movie was there was an unfinished life, okay? So a life was
Okay.
cut short and it was unfinished. So but me being me,
Notes.
yeah, that's the cliff notes, if the title didn't give it away. But it got me thinking about things being unfinished. And for me, I mean, I have shared numerous times, I'm not a physical runner, but I am an emotional, mental runner. And so I have run from things when they get really hard. Oftentimes, I don't stand my ground and just fight for something. It's just easier for me to pack up and move. Sometimes physically, or sometimes it might be ending a relationship, a friendship, or whatever, just because I don't know how to. I don't want to say I don't know how to have conflict because I can argue well. I don't know how to have unresolved conflict. Like
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
understand.
how to navigate that. I stink at that. So if you anybody would like to help me with that, you can reach out to our website because I need lots of work on it. But anyway, it got me thinking about the unfinishedness of our life. And so then it got me thinking about Elijah. And in First Kings, is where Elijah, the people were struggling between worshiping God and worshiping Baal. And I don't know all the details because I'm not a Bible scholar, but the whole thing about who's going to burn up, like, is Baal or God going to burn up the altar? You know what I'm saying? And they
Yeah.
like danced for so many days and nothing happened. And then Elijah had them like pour water on the altar. And then he went as far as making them dig like a ditch around it. I
And
love
pour more
Elijah
water.
because he's like, let me show you what my God can do. We're gonna make it even more, and he like digs a ditch and pours more water. And anyway, God rains down fire and it like soaks up even the water in the ditch. Like, I mean, there wasn't a dry thing left. Okay. And so he goes from this mountaintop experience to Jezebel, King Ahab's wife, is like, I hate him. I'm gonna kill him. And Elijah's like, oh my gosh. And so he like runs. He doesn't like, God literally rained fire down from heaven, and then he runs from this woman. And anyway, he goes out in the desert and he's like, Lord, just kill me. Just take me out. Take me out of my misery. And the angel of the Lord shows up and he's like, dude, you just need a snack and a nap. And so Elijah eats the bread and takes a nap and he wakes up and he's still like, I can't do this. And the angel's like, let's try again. And so he feeds him more bread and he takes another nap. And then he wakes up and then he travels 40 days to King Horeb, and then, like, that's where he, like, meets God in a new way because that's where God doesn't show up in the sound of thunder or the earthquake or the fire. He hears, like, a still small voice from God, and then he gets instruction from God to go and anoint these 3 people. I can't remember who the 3 people were. And then it goes, he runs into Elisha, and then it goes, and then God, like, takes him up to heaven in a whirlwind, right? So I know I don't have all the facts right, but you get my point.
You got
Go
the
to first
yeah.
Yeah, go to First Kings and read it because 'cause I'm probably wrong on it all, but you get the point. But I go back to him running away from Jezebel and being like, "Kill me." And I find that that's where I live a lot because I think about if Elijah could have said no to the angel of the Lord and not eating the snack and taking the nap, not once, but twice. And I find that humorous because that's so me. The Lord tells me to do something and I halfway do it. So then we have to do it again, you know? But if Elijah would not have been obedient to the angel of the Lord out in the wilderness, he would not have had the strength to do the 40 days. He would have never heard the small, still voice of the Lord. He would have never anointed the 3 people. He would have not been taken up in the whirlwind to heaven. And I think about all the things we miss, the unfinished life is the
Mm.
point I got from this movie because I often don't know how to navigate the running away and it's like, and two, I feel like God used Jezebel to get Elijah to this place. I think we beat Elijah up a lot. For you went from this mountaintop experience with the Lord to running for your life, but I think the desert was providential too. And
Yeah.
sometimes I think going from the mountain to the valley is hard to accept, but it can be providential because Elijah learned a lot through that time with the angel in the desert too, and then he went on. And it's just got me thinking so much about the unfinished life and how we handle things and how we expect things to go a certain way. And when they don't, we just want to throw in the towel. And then I don't know. Am I making any kind of sense at all?
Yeah, yeah, I'm following you because I see myself in a lot of that and what you're saying. I mean, I run if something doesn't go according to plan or it's not perfectly done. I don't know how to deal with the struggle after. And I mean, I feel like just I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. I mean, because that's the way I am. I mean, it's like sometimes even relationships when you put yourself out there and something happens and I don't know how to put it, but it's just like I don't know how to deal with the conflict either. And it's like, okay, well, it's over, it's done, no more. Don't want to even try anymore. Put myself out there because if I put myself out there, I'm gonna get hurt. So why do it? And so I mean, I run too. I mean, I run, but I can feel Elijah because it's just like just let me just sit right here and just be done. Let's just make a little camp right here in the desert, and you just continue to send me the food and the water, and I'll be just as happy and content just to be out of the way and not have to deal with any of the struggle.
But can you imagine if Elijah would have died in the desert?
Yeah.
Then he wouldn't have had the experience of being taken up into heaven in the whirlwind, because Elijah didn't die. The Lord just took him. And to have died in the desert for his story to have ended there. And I feel kind of convicted because have I cut the story off? Now, I'm not saying I'm more powerful than God. Don't look, the Lord's going to do what the Lord's going to do, and he's going to work around me if he has to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think about the times that I've had the unfinished business and he's had to work around me to do that. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is I think that we have to be stronger. We have to be, when we're in the valley, we have to recognize that it is just the valley. It's not the
Mm.
end. The desert wasn't the end for Elijah. And it's so easy in the valley to think that that's the end.
Yeah, and while you were talking, it hit me that while we're there in the valley in the desert, and someone comes to us, sometimes if you're like me, I end up biting their head off. Because I don't want to hear the positive or something, or the encouragement or the well, hey, y- in some ways, you brought this on yourself. Not that Elijah did that. I'm not saying that. You brought this on yourself, and this is like something you need to work on. I have a tendency of biting their heads off. Was it I shoot the messenger?
Mhm.
So the angel was the messenger for Elijah. And he did accept the food and all, but like you said, then he took a nap and it was like, so we had to do it again. So in a way, he was fussing with the angel too, the messenger, that why we're it's a lesson, I think, of trying to what I'm trying to say is not be so quick to shoot the messenger is what I'm saying. And listen, even if it's a negative, not because I only like to hear the positive stuff, even if it's
Mhm.
a time to listen, it's like, look, this is what you need to work on. You know,
Mhm.
this is where you are and this is what you need to work on, which I don't want to hear because I rather you just agree with me that this other situation was wrong and I should not be in this desert place right now.
Okay, so on the flip side of that, when someone you care about, you see them in the valley, do you tend to just say what they want to hear or do you tend to speak truth to them?
Well, I guess honestly, because this is my personality and I don't want to upset you or make things worse for you, I have a tendency sometimes to tell you what you want to hear. But
Me
however,
too.
I am trying to work on that because it is hard for me sometimes that if I say things from a different point of view and it's not what the person want to hear and they still bite my head off, they shoot the messenger, then I get
It's
my
like, why do
feelings
I
hurt.
even try?
Why do I
Why
even
am I
try?
even yeah.
Yeah. So, I just sit back down with them. I just pull up a stone with them, and I just plop down there too and wait for somebody else to come along, and I'll just say, "Okay, I'll just sit here with you, and we'll be quiet." But, I
Well,
mean, I
see,
have that tendency, but
as you were talking, I was thinking about that because that's kind of what I do too. And I think that isn't that what a lot of us do is we just say what the person wants to hear and speaking truth to the person when we're even saying that, well, because that's what we want to hear. Like you said, we
yeah.
don't want somebody speaking truth to us. We get mad when someone is truthful and honest with us. But how are we supposed to grow? If not, if we're telling everybody what they want to hear and everybody's telling us what we want to hear, how are we supposed to grow? Because then iron's not sharpening iron. But I don't like that.
No.
I don't I don't like the way that feels. We can move on to something else. We'll change the topic of this podcast starting now because I don't like that at all. Isn't that funny? And what if the angel would have? I mean, what if Elijah would have the angel would have just which the angel's not gonna tell Elijah what he wants to hear, but just go with me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
where would Elijah's life have gone if the angel of the Lord had not been honest with him and told him exactly what he needed? Because the angel was telling Elijah in that moment exactly what he needed in that moment. But I don't think we trust that when we meet someone that we care about in the valley, that God's gonna give us the words to tell them what they need in that moment. So maybe that's why we're so quick to just say whatever we think they wanna
Thing.
hear. Have you ever told somebody what you think they wanna hear and you were wrong, and then they really get mad at you? I've done that because 'cause I've
Yes.
misread the whole
Yeah.
situation before and made it a lot worse.
Wait I'm
And
good
if
about
I would
that
have
too.
just said what the Lord told me to say or trust that God would have given me the words, it probably would have all gone a whole lot better.
You're not saying we're control freaks, are you?
100%. 100%.
Um, I don't know, I had a thought and it left my
I'm
head from
sorry.
what you were saying. That's okay. No, sorry. I just have those moments of thought here and then psh, it's gone. But, it had to do with Elijah being in the oh, well, let's just move on. It might come back and I'll tell you then.
Well, so let me ask you this question. So, if you put yourself in the situation of Elijah where you're like, Lord, just take me out. I mean, have you ever been so low? Have you ever gone from such a high to that kind of low that you thought there's no way out of this? Like there's no I can't. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And it's funny to me that we judge him, but it's easily to go from such a high with the Lord to such a low. And I'm talking the low is way down there. It's
Yeah.
way down there. Elijah just was asking the Lord just to take him to take him out. I love his honesty. Lord, just take me out. Just make it stop. But I find it interesting that the thing that the angel gate told him to do was to eat the bread. And that makes me go back to Jesus is the bread of life. And so ultimately that's the key is we go back to Jesus every single
Yeah.
time. And it's like that's the given and we know, but that's the hard thing for me. And I'll be honest, okay, I can't believe I'm gonna say this out loud, but I'm just gonna say it because I might as well say stuff that nobody else will say. a lot of times I don't want to go to Jesus because I know that's the truth and I know I'm going to get the truth.
The truth.
And that doesn't align with my agenda.
That might be our problem the whole time, or it's my problem too. As far as sometimes we don't want to know the truth, but you're not alone in that. I mean, I think that's all of us. I mean, I don't know. I have a tendency. I don't seek out Jesus to find the truth, because one, I don't want to hear it, but I enjoy wallowing in the self pity of look where I am, even if it's from my own doing, but especially if it's not from my own doing, because I mean, Elijah ran to the desert to get away from Jezebel, so that wasn't his doing.
Yeah.
So especially if it's not my doing, I just rather just sit and waller in my hog pen of self pity of look what people are doing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
It
makes
just
perfect
that's more
sense.
comfortable, and
And
then
then to
sit
you,
there and fuss with God. It's like, see what your people do. You see what your people do. You try to do the right thing. You try to do what you say, and then this is what your people do. Then why even try? That's where I
and
find
then
myself.
do you then come against someone else having a hard time and then you hear them talk about their hard time and the whole time you're listening, you're like, you don't even know the half of it. If I told you what was going on in my life, you don't even know the half of it. So
Let's pull
then,
up a chair and compare notes here, people, huh?
yeah, so then I don't have compassion for what someone else is going through because I'm too stuck on my own self-pity and my own pity party that I'm having because I'm comparing heartache for heartache. I do
Okay, so
that.
how do we get past this to
Well, I'm
to
talking
to
about it on
what?
a podcast, so that's how I'm gonna get past it. We're just gonna just bring it on out to life. I don't
So
know. I think the Sunday school answer is you get more deeply rooted in the word, you learn from your mistake. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the
yeah.
Sunday school answer. I don't know what that actually looks like other than my first thought is taking the thoughts captive. Because I think while Elijah did not take his thoughts captive, I think the angel speaking truth to him is kind of the same thing. You know, I think
So
that's the
maybe
first
that's
step.
I don't want to say the lesson, the point. It's that first of all, I beat myself up, I guess, when I'm in those moments of rehashing and beating myself up for maybe taking on responsibility for my maybe it's not my responsibility for being there. Sometimes it is, but beating myself up that, the just my first lesson out of this, I guess, is not to shoot the messenger,
Yeah.
to maybe listen to them. Like, I mean, and even if it takes 2 or 3 times, because I guess that encourages me a little bit that Elijah didn't respond the first time. He was just like, yeah, I just still, I mean, it took twice for the angel to say, okay, let's try this again. There's just a little bit of encouragement there that I don't have to have it all figured out the first time. It's not an excuse. Don't get me wrong. Don't use that as an excuse, but it might take a couple of moments and time to regroup a little bit to then say, okay, let's move forward. But then as you were talking and as far as that he didn't hear God in the what'd you say, in the storm, thunder,
Yeah,
the
I think it was like
earthquake,
a earthquake, a thunderstorm, and there was something else. There was three things that it talks about. He didn't hear the voice of God, but then he heard the still small
and still
voice.
that, it's look for the unexpected, I guess. Those are it's not always in the grand gestures, I guess.
Mm.
It's easy. We want to hear, the big production, I guess is what I'm saying. But in the end, I mean, it's in the quiet. And I don't do quiet well. I don't do quiet well. I don't know. Did any of that make sense? It made
It
sense in
makes
my head, but it's not coming out quite right.
No, it's coming out right. I totally understand exactly what you're saying. And I think do you think maybe we put too much into it? Do you think it is? And I think the simple thing that the angel said was, here, eat this bread that I made for you and let's take a nap. Like it was that simple. but maybe we try to make it harder. We try to make it where it has to be the grand gestures. Do you think that
Mm.
maybe because I think about eating the bread twice and taking 2 naps gave him the strength to travel 40 miles or I mean 40 days. And so maybe part of the issue is we think it's not that simple because we see the journey ahead of us. We see the 40 days that we have to travel. And so we think it's going to take more. And so we think that the little thing that we have or maybe the little thing that we offer someone isn't enough. So we don't do it or say it or whatever.
It's just hit me as you were saying that, you go all the way back to the Garden of Eden with the fruit that God told them not to eat because, their eyes would be open of what's good and evil. And, and how over I always looked at it as just the what's right and what's wrong. But as we are talking, I was brought back to that. It's like, do we not try to sit here and seeing what's ahead? Well, this is the right way I need to go. Not really listening, because I think I know better. Okay, so this is what I need. I need, I can't, I guess going off Elijah, I just can't have one meal and a nap. I need to do this a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to be
Yeah.
too hard. I just need more time. This is what I need to do that instead of, but my problem is trusting that God knows how I need to get there. I have a hard time trusting that He knows
I do too.
the substance that I need to get there. Okay, that hurt.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, it's so funny to sit here and say, I trust God. I trust God. I do. God has been faithful. The whole hindsight's 2020 to me, that's a spiritual thing because you look back over your life, I'm looking forward, looking through my eyes, but when I look backwards, I'm looking through the lens that God has given me. And so I'm able to see his faithfulness over and over. And I get frustrated at myself because I've seen his faithfulness in the past, but struggle to trust his faithfulness in the future. And maybe we're a lot more like Elijah than what we kind of want to admit because maybe that was part of Elijah's fear too is even though he had just seen God's faithfulness, he was looking back at that through the 2020 lens of the Lord, and he struggled to have the faithfulness moving forward, to see the path ahead. And I think maybe we have to just stop beating ourselves up. I think what I realize more and more is when I'm beating myself up, I'm staying in the desert and I'm not walking the 40 days to Mount Horeb. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not
Yeah.
moving forward, and that takes effort. I mean, Elijah was literally having to put one foot in front of the other to walk the 40 days to Mount Horeb. And I don't want to put in the effort. I would rather just stay in the desert because it's easier there.
Oh, yeah. Me too. I mean, well, it's just like dieting. You have to put the work in to get healthy, you
Yeah.
know? It's just easier just to, oh, well, just let me snap my fingers and everything's going to be good. And it's not. And that's my problem. I just want things to be simple. And sometimes it's just not. I mean, when I say we're just talking about we make things hard, but I want everything just to be quick and easy and not, I don't want to say I don't want to do the work, but quite honestly, there's times I just don't want to do the work. I just want it to be fixed for me. Just make it
Yeah.
all okay. And I don't want to have to put in the work. But I guess it goes back to, like you were saying, we need to be back eating the bread and the word to get the strength to make it through, to make that 40 days to the mountain to get where God wants us to be. So bottom line is we have to put the work in and you won't have the unfinished life.
All right, y'all, that's a wrap for today's episode. If something in this conversation encouraged you, challenged you, or just made you feel seen, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss what's coming next. And if you know someone who would love this episode, share it with them. Send it to a friend, drop it in a group chat, or post it on your story. That kind of support means the world to us. You always find every episode, updates, and more over at therecoveringpreacherskids.com. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll see you next time.